Hello everyone out in YouTube land. Well, I just got home from my tour on the tugboat yesterday. Actually got home early. We arrived in Buffalo, New York on Tuesday, and Wednesday morning I was able to rent a car and get out of there. It wasn't a bad drive, and it sure beat taking a couple of airplanes. Anyway, I already finished my first repair job since I've been home, which was fixing the lawn tractor, which had been sitting in front of my shop for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And so the grass is high, needs to be mowed. My wife is going to take care of that. Today what I want to talk about is how to scale a pile of logs. There's a video from In the Woodyard, which I will link to down in the description. I might even put that at the end in the corner. And Chris's brother Ken, he has a tremendous amount of experience scaling log piles. And by scaling, I mean estimating the amount of lumber, or in this case, the number of cords in a pile of logs. So he's really, really good at it. However, the log piles that he has are a consistent length. They're all about 8 feet long. So it's really easy to scale a pile when all the logs are the same length. Now, what I get is a wide variety of diameters and a wide variety of length. If we look here, you can see this pile. There's a short piece. We're going to ignore that. All of these logs are different lengths. Some of them are pretty close, but mostly they vary. If you look at the end of the pile here, you can see, I'm going to poke the camera underneath here. Hopefully there's no rattlesnakes. You can see these are all different lengths. There's shorter ones underneath here, longer ones on top. You got these two laying crossways. We have this pile up here, same thing. Fairly consistent diameter wise, but they're all different lengths. Look, you got that one down in there. Here's a bunch of short ones up here. So what I want to try to do here is come up with a reasonable method to figure out how much in the way of cords I have in this log pile. So where I am in northeast Pennsylvania, when we buy firewood around here, we buy it by the triax load, which is essentially a 3-axle straight truck with a grapple on it. And that's typical for around this area. I guess other areas you can buy them by the semi-truck load. That we don't do that here. Don't ask me why, but that's just the way it is. When I order logs, I specify the maximum diameter, and that's pretty much the only thing I can really do. It doesn't make sense to specify length. I just want the truckload to be full. The length doesn't really matter that much to me. Although, yes, it would be nice if all my logs were 10-foot length. Yeah, but that's just not the way they do firewood around here. The best way, and what I really need to do, and I am very bad at doing this, is when I get a truckload of logs and they set the load down here, what I really should do is process this entire load into firewood that I can stack, and then figure out from the end result, the stack of wood, how many cords did I get out of that truckload. And what that would do for me is it would give me how many cords I'm getting per truckload, and it would account for all the debris all the like little pieces and chibbles that come off when I'm splitting, and any cookies, you know, short pieces, ugly pieces that I can't do anything with the processor. And those things, all that stuff goes right in my furnace. So it doesn't go to waste, but it doesn't go for sale either. By doing it that way, I would get a better accounting of it. Now, I haven't really done that, to be honest, and that's my own fault, because I get a load of logs and I get so excited to start processing firewood that I forget where I'm at, and I just keep going and going, and next thing you know, I'm like, where did my pile start? I don't remember. So it's just something that I need to really work on, and I'll get there. But in the meantime, I'm being set upon by nasty biting horseflies. They're everywhere today. What would be very helpful to me is when the truck driver drops off my load of logs, if I could look at this pile and go, let me take some measurements. This amounts to X number of cords. Now, I believe, and this is kind of what I've heard, and I haven't really figured it out yet, and that's why I'm doing this, that I'm getting somewhere around 7 or 8 cords of wood per truckload. When I've done my calculating for how much I'm going to sell my wood for, I'm using 7 cords per truckload as an average, and I think that's fair. It accounts for all the debris and the cookies and waste, but I want to be a little more accurate. So that's what this is all about. So this is going to be my process, at least for now, until I can either find a better way or I don't know what. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the average diameter. I'm using my phone for a notepad. So I'm going to measure this way. So we have 14 and 16. So 14, 16, and now I'll see if I'm going to go do the other end. I'll see if I can remember this. $14 plus 16 plus the other end was 15 both ways. 15 plus 15 is 60. Divide that by 4. That's an average diameter of 15 inches. So I'm going to record that. So that's 15 inches. And now I'm going to get the length. "19 feet 3 inches. 19 feet 3 inches. All right, so that's my first log. Now we're going to do another one. So we're going to ignore the short piece here. We're just going to do this next log right here. We'll say 12 and 12. Okay, so we have 12 plus 12 plus 14 plus 15 is 53. Divide that by 4. That gives me 13 and a quarter. We'll just say 13 inches average. So 13 inches. And now I'll measure the length. "17 feet 4 inches. 17 feet 4 inches. Okay, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to measure, I'm going to try to measure 10 logs. So if I can measure 10 logs, then I'll have a pretty good idea of what my average number of cords per log is going to be. So this is a little time consuming. I won't bore you with it, but I'm going to keep going, and then I'll get back to you here shortly. All right, so what I did was I took 10 measurements. So I got a good sample of what each log looks like, and I counted the number of logs in the pile. I ignored the real short ones that I could see, and I ignored the stringers on the ground. So now what I'm going to do is go enter my data. All right, what I've done is I've written a small Python program to do these calculations for me. It's not very sophisticated. If anybody wants a copy of it, probably I can put it up on Google Drive or something for you. And what this is going to do is it's going to total up all my measurements from the log pile. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to get it close in number of feet. So 19 feet 3 inches will go 19.2, and the diameter is 15. And that tells me how many cords are in the log. So that particular log has 0.184 cords. So the next one, 17.3, that's close enough, 13 inches diameter. Next one is 17.75. Diameter is 12 inches. Next one is 22 feet, 11 inches. Next one is 26 feet, 11 inches diameter. Next one is 16.5, 11 inches. Next one is 24, 14 inches. Next one is 12.5, 12 inches. 17.75, 12 inches. 17 and 9 inches. All right, so I've entered all my measurements that I took, and now I'm done, and I'm going to exit. So that was 10 logs, and that gives me just over 1 cord. So now what I'm going to do is I have a total of 30 logs. So with 30 logs, and I'm going to use the 1.19 cords for 10 logs. So we're going to take that times 3. .19 times 3 gives me 3.57 cords. 3.57. All right. So that's how many cords of wood are in that one
log pile, keeping in mind that I've already taken about 3 or 4 cords out of there. I lost track, so I don't know exactly, but that's a good way to estimate. And that's based on actual data, and I'm ignoring the stringers on the bottom, and I'm ignoring any obviously short pieces. Okay, that's it for the program. I can actually show you the program if you want to see it. Scroll back to the top here. Okay. Just a quick look. You may or may not be interested in this. If you are, you can pause the video. And that's all there is to it. It's very primitive. There's not much to it. It just gives me the basic measurements to make calculating easier. And it saves my data. So if I look at my directory here, let me see. Oops. Somewhere is my file. There it is. Alright, so that's my data file that has the number of chords per log, and that's all that recording is. Okay, that's that.
Alright, so to wrap up this video, computer program gave me a total of, and now I'm not in front of it anymore, 3 point some chords. So what I did, I sampled 10 logs. I ignored the short pieces. I ignored the stringers on the bottom. So I literally climbed up on the pile and measured all these logs. Diameter this way, diameter this way on both ends. And then that gave me my average diameter of the log. Then I measured the length. And after sampling 10 logs and getting that number, then I counted how many logs are in this pile. And I wound up with a total of 30 logs. So with that, I took my number of chords that the computer program gave me, and I multiplied that by 3, because in this case, there's 30 logs. I sampled 10, so it's 3 times whatever that number was. So that's a fairly decent estimate, I think. I will probably, just for fun, do this pile up here. Now that is a long log. That log's probably 30 feet long. This first log here. So a lot of wood in that. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to do this. There's a bunch of short pieces here, so I'll probably have to measure those so that I can get a good average. All right, so that's really estimating a pile the hard way. It was time consuming and not all that much fun climbing around on the pile and taking those measurements, but it gives me a good idea of what I have left. So if you found this useful in any way, please give me the good old thumbs up, and if you have any comments about how I did this, I would really like to hear it. I'm not an expert at doing this, so I'm learning as I go. I get a lot of information from in the woodyard. Chris and his brother Kenny, they are very, very knowledgeable instrumental in learning how to do firewood. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you later.